Second race of the season, BMW IBSF Men's Skeleton World Cup. We're in Winterberg in Germany after a first season opener and Altenberg. Martin Haven, John Morgan with you trackside here watching the action in the Hochsauerland on a day that has seen mist, fog, rain, and now is breaking out into afternoon sunshine. Hello everybody and welcome to the home of last year's World Championships, Winterberg in Germany. John, it's a track that doesn't have too many hidden secrets.
No, it's a pretty easy track to get down. It's tough to get down fast. They've changed the track since the original build in the 70s, and the big change up here at the beautiful start house, it's enclosed, but they put this curve in, and they didn't want to change the other number, so they named this curve Zero Curve. And that curve is a big challenge for all the skeleton and bobsled athletes to get through there cleanly. This part of the track, it's slow, omega curve. You have to be so quiet here. No variance, no any kind of alteration of your direction. You're going uphill right here, and now you start to motor down here. Curve 5 and 6, and you start to set yourself up for the Kreisel, the signature part of the track. The big enter in, 280-degree whip around, you exit below where you come in. There's the bridge over the top. Now the track starts to motor. Curve 9, pivotal part of the track in regards to you better have a good exit. You can still accelerate speed out of 10. This is the maximum speed part of the track. Then a three-corner combination, the labyrinth. It gets pretty tricky at this high speed. Into the finish, uphill or at the finish. And out of this finish line, you can lose some more time. It's a very challenging track, technically.
Yes, it is, and subtle differences can make a big difference to the end time. So can subtle changes in the weather conditions, as you see. Ready for the start of Heat 1. Blue sky overhead, but the fog earlier made the track very frosty. Martin Stukur's won the season opener from Alexander Tretyakov and Nikita Tregibov. Will the Russians dominate here? Well, the last race here was the World Championships, and it was Martin Stukur's who won that. So he could well be on for his second straight win of the season. Points are reflected in their positions from race 1 a week ago. Well, we've again got a good field here. Axel Jung, junior world champion. This is his first full World Cup season. And there is young Nikita Tregibov. He can be a real thorn in the side of guys like Thomas Dukurs and his brother Martins. Axel Jung goes off first. Thomas Dukurs, you can see what he spent the summer doing, growing the beard. And Alexander Tretyakov just sprinting out by the side of the start area, getting everything nicely warmed up. 30 years old now, Tretyakov. He was complaining to us in Sochi last year, John. I'm the old man now. All these kids are coming to get me. Well,
they're coming.
When you start coming to get people as a kid, eventually there's payback. Axel Jung will kick proceedings off with Christopher Groth here right behind, and then Olympic bronze medalist Matt Antoine. Mikhail Zakrau also representing Germany. He made his World Cup debut last weekend. And it's a big field, 26 athletes, which means that 6 won't get a second run, as only the fast 20 go through. We have got a couple of guys nursing injury.
This is going to be a coming out party here today for Axel Jung. I believe this guy has a chance to steal a gold medal here on a track that he knows very well.
Last year, his first races in World Cup, and a great rookie season, 4th in the standings. Third in the standings, beg your pardon, but he didn't finish on the podium once all year. Only 6th in the World Championships here as well, John.
But he's just getting his feet wet. He's young. He's probably the best athlete of the German men's or women's program. He gets the best starts, which the Germans don't get great starts. But boy, do they have the ability to drive the sleds and the equipment to get high speeds on the bottom part of these tracks. His form up here has been perfect so far. Look at his feet. Perfect exit.
Very quick in training, just 24 years old as well, so he is the next generation coming through from Germany.
Keep your eye on that speed.
96 is 60 miles an hour, just under. 125, 126, 127.8 at the bottom. That is 79.5 miles an hour and still accelerating through into the final corner.
Still not as fast as last day of training. He was 57.32, so he's almost, a full second off training time, which was yesterday. Weird conditions here today. We had fog. The track was frosty this morning for the women's race. He's the rabbit. We don't know how well his time is until the next guy comes down. Look at the precision here. Does he get on the sled quietly? Look at his feet, action, kick up over the top. Boy, that doesn't look smooth. Look at his, has to gather himself to get himself into that bullet position.
Well, there's the starter, Axel Jung. Now the chasers. Christopher Groothaar right behind him, 23-year-old. They both train and test at the Oberhof track. That's a track that we don't use in Eastern Germany. It's not big enough for Man Bob.
But most of the skeleton athletes are coming from Oberhof.
Yeah.
You can drive Oberhof. Boy, you can drive any place.
If you come from Oberhof, chances are when they were at school, they did luge as well before skeleton.
I'm sure these guys all did luge. Speed. Look at these 503, the speed in the left, 62.9.
Double junior world champion, 2013, 2015, so he's won the last 2 junior worlds.
Doesn't get the speed at the start that his teammate does. He's 2/10 down. If he keeps it at 23/2400s here, stops the bleeding, has a chance to eat into the efficiency. That's not bad. Good form, 91.3.
His only World Cup podium has come in Winterberg in Germany 3 seasons ago.
95.7, not near the speed. His teammate had a 96 there. Good bullet form. I mean, they look like they're on rails coming down the middle of this track. 3/10, 127.4. Still not the speed of his teammate.
Well, if the Germans aren't well rehearsed on this track, then there's no hope for any of the rest of us, is there? 57.54. So he comes into second place, just under 4/10.
And he's only 800ths off his practice time yesterday. So he went a little slower. I mean, he's about the same.
Didn't crack a top 10 run yesterday in training.
No. Look at the athleticism. See how quiet he gets on. Now, he got on the sled, I think, with a lot of more positive energy than his teammate.
But again, he was just a little to the left of center. It's so hard. You're sprinting over speed down here. Trying to land on a T-tray that's only got an inch or so of tolerance either way. Next up, Matt Antoine, one of the more experienced athletes in the field now, turned 30 in April from Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin. Talking to my son about him, he said, why has he got a French name? I said, well, he comes from a town that's got a French name. That's the heritage of the USA, that settler nature.
One of the taller athletes in the field, 10th place last week in Altenburg. Deficient start times. Remember, this is the bronze medalist from the Sochi Olympics when he had a top 5, top 6 start time.
Has Matt had another surgery over the summer? I've got it in my head that he does.
19. Boy,
I'm sure he told us last week that he's had another surgery over the summer.
He's, 3/10 down to the leader. He's going to get this out to 55 or 60 here at the next clock. Hopefully that'll stop.
12th here in the Worlds last year, 4th in the World Cup the year before, but that's actually his only ever top 6 finish in Winterberg. Previous 3 years, he was 15th, 9th, and 8th.
Hopes to get 96-kilometer speed. Yeah, he's got good as speed as the Germans. He gave it all away in the first 50 meters. So good 127.8 is the best speed down here. Plus 55, he's holding his own lane. Same speed as Axel Jung, but Matt Antoine, good in the bottom part of the track. He was suspect at the top of the track, and if he had another 150 meters.
Well, that time, giving away 2/10 at the top.
3/10.
Yeah. It multiplies all the way down.
It's a multiplier effect of 3. He gave away 2,800ths at the start, so he should have been 7,800ths behind. He was only 55. So he drove the better lines, but here in the exit of 9, looked a little high there, but boy, he had, for that start deficiency to have the same speed as Axel Jung, being down 2,800ths to the start, good lines from the bronze medalist from the 2014 games.
Michael Zakral, the youngest of our 3 Germans, World Cup rookie, made his debut last week. And he currently lies in 8th place. That's where he finished last week in the World Cup race. 21 years old, and also, like his teammates, from Oberhof.
Great training times. 4th and 5th the last day. Pretty good 5:07 start. That puts him in the chance to get in the top 3. 62.6 speed, not bad.
The other thing they do at Oberhof as well as luge is ski jump. So he wasn't a luger, he was a jumper.
Well, he's built like a jumper. Doesn't have that long, lean look like Antoine we just saw come down the track.
Ain't too many sliders as tall as Matt, though.
91.2, not the best speed. Antoine had 91.4, but Antoine had a deficient start time. Next thing you want to see is 96. He doesn't have that 96, 95.7. So he's not going to get after the leader. He could get in the top 3 here, though.
3rd place on the split time. She's just ahead of Matt Antoine. Not by much, and at the line by...
4th, wow.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Antoine really flew in the bottom part of that track. At 127.8 was the same match as Axel Young. When you tie Germans with the best speed at the bottom part of the track on a German track, you drove a great line. And here's Zacharo going into Kreisel. Look at the form. Feet are great. Does he stay consistent? Boy, that looks pretty consistent to me. The head moves away a little bit.
Head just trying to hold him up there.
Maybe he came down too early there.
Yeah.
Maybe he came down too early because he was going back up on the outlet there at that shot. But hey, rookie.
Great view there in the Kreis. You can see that at that speed they can use the head to balance the body. Thomas Dukurs of Latvia, 34-year-old, older of the 2 brothers. 3 consecutive World Cup season-ending 2nd places behind his brother in the last 3 years.
Another tall athlete. It's about 4 inches taller than his brother.
Yeah.
Hesitation there. What type of speed?
98 seconds, sub
63.1, decent.
Yeah.
You talk about his 2nd place finishes in the World Cup. How about his 4th place finishes at the 2010 games in Whistler, Vancouver,
yeah.
And then 4th place at the 2014 games in Sochi.
Yeah.
That's not the spot you want to be in. Like 4th place is like, 2nd place is the first loser, but 4th place is the first loser off the podium.
Bronze medalist in the World Championships here in February. 91.5 going into the Kreisel. That's good. Only Grotehead with 91.7 was the faster.
Good form, as you expect. I mean, these guys could write a book on how to come down the track. 126.4 is not the best. 2nd though.
That's good. 3,500's back, so...
You talk about always lurking around the podium.
Yep. Always in there.
We saw him win an event way back in Latvia. He went from 13th to 1st in a race that was amazing. And I think that was his only World Cup gold medal ever. When it was one of the first races he was ever in. Look at me push off the side. This is a 6'3", 6'4" athlete. Look at the chest come down and absorb the shock. That was a very efficient entry onto the sled. And he's also the most experienced person who's come down the track so far.
Bronze medalist in the last race on this track. Well, here's our World Cup points leader, our winner last weekend. Martis Dukurs, 31-year-old Latvian. 6 times in a row, he has been our World Cup champion at season's end.
That's a clean-shaven look there in his headshot. He doesn't have that look anymore. So you want to see now, look where his feet are, inside that line. His brother was outside with both feet. Different techniques for the brothers.
And that's the extra height as well, 492.
Oh boy, he cleanly get through there. The speed, 63.5. I think that's the best start speed we've seen so far from the athlete we refer to as Superman. He's approaching 50 World Cup victories. I think that includes the World Championships. No one's been more dominant in the sliding sports in the last 7 years than this guy right here. 92.1. Yes, that's the best speed. Yes, he's got the green numbers. And Yes, it looks like he's in a video game. I mean, he's coming right down the middle of the track and blowing everybody away here.
Making it look very straightforward.
Only 1700s at 127.9 best speed. He might get this out to 19 or 20. 18. What can we say? I mean, this is just another day at the office for the greatest skeleton athlete ever in the history of the sport.
Well, that is not about where he is in front of Axel Jung. That's about where he is in front or around the guy who follows him down the ice. His big nemesis, Superman's kryptonite, is a 30-year-old Russian.
Coming up next, but look at the technique. Look where his feet are, inside the drive lines. See that out there? And look at the way he gets on. Quiet, load onto the sled. Best speed on the exit of Kreisel. Not the best start, though. The best start was Axel Jung from Germany. Yep. I'm telling you, that guy's coming.
Track record, 475 in the World Championship. No, not in the World Championships, in the race in 2014 to Alexander Tretiakov. May not break the start record, although Yelena Nikitina broke the women's twice.
There she is
in the middle.
Listen up. So his feet are outside that line compared to Ducar's. Oh, 484. Speed, 63.5. 61, 60. No, that's not 61.7.
Yeah.
Way out.
63.5.
What happened? What happened there? Something happened because he's lost his start velocity already.
Did he dink the wall into zero?
Maybe. He's naked without a start time. He does not have the driving ability that Ducar's does. Now the question is, can he stay within reach of Axel Jung at the bottom here? I think he's got enough to stay ahead of Thomas Ducars.
He's already down to third. It's Martin Ducars, Axel Jung, Thomas Ducars. That's your top three. 95.5. So he's lacking a little bit in speed. We saw this from the Russian girls.
He's way off the pace.
Their setup
speed. Way off the pace with the speed. So Russian rocket, not with a good run third. We complain about a third. He's only in front of Thomas Ducars by 900ths. His mistake, though, was where he is the best athlete in the world in the first 50 meters. He made a mistake hopping on the sled, drifting into the wall, no start speed. Considering his start speed, he didn't have that bad of a drive down the track.
Yeah. Start time was big.
Here he is around curve one. Where is it?
Look at the lane. He only just had the foot in when he came with the shot. He has having a long foot drag down into turn one.
Great pickup by our team there. You could see him coming in at a bad angle and had the anchor out.
Yes, he did. Mistakes against Ducars or Tretiakov will always be punished. This time it's Tretiakov that makes the error. Martin Ducars leads, but the Russians are making the noise again for Nikita Tregibov. Now he is the young hunter, 20-year-old Russian sensation. Tregibov, 6th in the Olympic Games, 5th in the World Championships. How old? 2015 Junior World Champion. That's how he got into the World Champs.
How old is he?
20. Started in 2010, right around when Alexander Tretiakov won his first Olympic bronze medal.
Drift, 498. Let's see if he gets the 63 change speed. 62.6, like the Russian female.
Yeah.
Athletes, they had great superior start times. It did not have good start velocity out of that zero curve. And he's a quarter second down and skidding there.
Watch his toes. They're doing a lot of work, tip dancing away there. Just, again, all the way down that straight, just tiny little corrections. One way, then the other.
Looks like he was half off that sled. His feet came off on the exit of Kreisel. Boy, is he way off the pace.
And in fact, it's all from the hips. The whole of the leg, both legs are moving all the time. He's got a sled that is set up for very different conditions, and it is sliding all over the place under him. Still got speed at the bottom.
This is not what we saw from him in Altenburg or last year. 8th best run. That might be one of the worst runs we've seen from him since he's come onto the scene.
Yeah. That sled was completely out of control.
So the entry, you have to run. You have to get on the sled quietly. A good load, we call it. Watch his knee here. Look at his knee hits first. You know, we saw Dukars, we saw a lot of the good athletes, Axel Young, land with their chest. I think that's what the point is there, but that knee on there then lifts the sled up in the air, puts extra friction on the back of it, and that's why he had no start velocity.
3 podiums last year. Not going to add to that. Next up, Don Parsons from London. 28-year-old now, lives and works in Bath. Engineering student, studying advanced combustion engines. He's a Bromley-supported athlete, so Richard Bromley will be feeding in whatever he can to try and help this athlete.
Toe touch, skid. Not a bad start speed, 62.5. With that type of start, should be up 62 high, low 63. But we heard him tap the entrance to curve 0. And that's a no-no.
Last week finished in 9th place. He was 5th overall in the World Cup standings last year.
Speed is suspect.
Same as Trigabov. He is just ahead of Nikita Trigabov and now ahead of Michael Zachrau of Germany. 7th place on the sprint times.
Speed has improved
a little bit. 127s.
6.5. Might get him in the top 7.
Yeah, slipped down at the line behind Michael Zachrau. 700s in front of Nikita Trigabov.
Dominic doesn't look the same slider as he did last year at this time.
2 years
so
ago,
far,
season opener got a bronze medal. Yeah, in Calgary in Canada.
Of course, 6th best start was good enough for the start. Look at it, see if the angle of his entry here into the Kreisel. It looks pretty good there. Does he stay in a consistent line? The feet, perfect. Is he tapping them? Looks good.
Last race here, he was 7th. That was the World Championships. More Russian noise. They never run out of them, do they? 23 years old, Pavel Kulikov. The relative newcomer last year did 2 World Cup races, 11th in Lake Placid, 10th in Calgary. And then he was 13th in the World Championships. 5th in the Olympic Games in Sochi.
Nice quiet load on the sled. See if he could be a Russian to get a good start speed. 62 and change, 62.8, not bad. Not efficient, but compared to the other Russian teammates, wasn't bad until there. The exit of Omega, he was loose.
Like Maria Oliver, he comes from St. Petersburg. He's studying at the university there as well, economics student.
Struggling on the Chrysler with speed, only 90 flat, 54 miles an hour, 5.9.
Scratching from the helmet.
94, he's picked it up a little bit, but nothing that's going to challenge for a top 7.
10th of our starters, he will be the slowest down the ice at the bottom of the track.
Speed, 3.5 kilometers down to the best. Some guy named Dukas.
Well, last weekend talked to Billy Snyder after skeleton races, and he said, sometimes the setup's just not right and just wasn't. It looks like this is another one of those sometimes. Pavel Kulikov, not usually seen without a smile.
Good technique. Look at his knee come down on there too. We've noticed that from 2 of the 3 Russian athletes. And we noticed that in one of the this morning's athletes from Russia too. So the load on the sled, they might need a little bit more coaching on that quiet load on the sled.
Yeah,
watch Thomas Dukars or Martins get on the sled. Or their teammate Trechikov.
There's the 3 Russians smiling. They currently lie in 3rd place, in 9th place, and in 10th place. Martins Dukars leads from Axel Jung. 10 sleds down, 16 to go, only 10 more spots in Heat 2 up for grabs. This is Matthias Guggenberger of Austria, 31-year-old from Innsbruck. Started back in 2004 and effectively lost 2 seasons from 2012 to 2014 with a series of back injuries. Last year started to find his mojo again.
Boy, a lot of scratching we just heard. 62.7. That's the toe drag that they get as they enter curve 0 to get the best optimum line. Yeah, he's been a hard luck athlete. Did pretty good in training 2 days ago. Yesterday's training, 9th and 12th.
Right now, he might take a top 12 finish. He was only 18th here in the World Championships.
His uncle Nicky coaches the team, right?
2012, he was 25th. His best ever result in World Cup racing here, or any racing here, is 17th. So this is not a track that usually plays well with Matthias Quickenberg, but he's got a good start at the moment. 5th fastest start. He's drifted to 11th at the line.
Now it's a question of...
That translates as slowest at the line so far.
5th best start, 11th best time. Now, right about this time in the women's competition, the ice just got frosty.
Yeah.
And was hard for anybody. The only person, we only saw 1 or 2 persons have a decent time.
Yeah, top 4 or 5 got away with it, and then beyond that.
Good leg turnover. So let's see him enter or load onto the sled. Knee? Yeah, his knee gets on there first.
He's as healthy as he's been now in 4 or 5 seasons, probably, which is hopefully going to have a positive effect. There's some representatives from the track operators in Korea, Pyeongchang. And here is the man that they are following, not obviously Robert Downey Jr., but Sunbin Young, who has not only now an Ironman helmet, but actually Ironman on the sled as well. Richard Bromley holding the Bromley sled.
He's now coaching, the head coach of the Korean skeleton team. So they have high hopes for this athlete here today.
Not super fast. Oh, 491.
Wow. God, when he's starting like Dukar's, Trenchkov, look at the speed, 63.3. He didn't have a very good result last week at Altenburg. They were very disappointed with that 12th place finish. And
less experienced at these European tracks. He'd never raced at Altenburg before. The World Championships last year, or this year in February, was his first ever time on the ice in Winterberg. So he's not got the experience of any of his front-running rivals.
Decent speed. Let's see if he can maintain it. 95.4. That's not bad. This could be a top 5 if he maintains this rocket position. The Ironman.
Considering he's 21 years old and is
128, that's the best speed.
Richard Bromley had a big smile on his face.
Hey, that's the first guy we've seen get up there other than Dukar's, right? 128.
That is huge speed. Nobody else has gone into the 128.
Considering where he went, 12th in the race, now he's only 600ths out of the medal with Trenchkov.
Yep.
He's medaled twice last year, disqualified in Lake Placid at a time when he could have won a medal then too. Here's out of that 0 curve. Look at his feet out, drifting.
That's the difference between him and Tretyakov.
There you go. How much is that worth?
Those 2 steers in that era. And of course, you get out of the glossy bit, you get up onto the frosty edges as well.
And he crashes across the line here. That hole in the wall there is the electric eye.
From Canada, Dave Krzyzewski, a teacher who has traveled the world and lived in some of the most obscure places. Now back home in Brampton, Ontario, just outside of Toronto.
Rugby player, biggest guy in the field.
Best World Cup in his race in his rookie season last year, 7th on the Olympic track at Sochi. Huge quads on this man. 5'11" getaway.
Now, Man Antoine and Thomas Dukars are tall, like Dave, but Dave's a little thicker.
Yeah, he's more a rugby player stature, isn't he?
The other Man Antoine and Trenchkov and Dukars look like 800-meter runners. This guy looks like a rugby player. Big baseball fan. I had a good conversation with him and Charles, the coach of the Korean team, the other day. Pretty upset that David Price didn't sign with the Toronto Blue Jays, went on to the Red Sox. Look at the form. I mean, he's pretty quiet.
94.6, not bad speed. 12th place at the start, 12th place in the race. He's ahead of Matthias Guggenberg of Austria now. He's also ahead of Pavel Kulikov.
Pretty good. Not bad.
Is he going to catch Chegubov at the line? Not quite. He's ahead of Kulikov and Guggenberger in 11th place.
That'll most likely put him in the top 20 for sure.
A big day for the Canadian skeleton outfit today, because Jane Channell claimed her first ever World Cup medal for Canada in the bronze medal position in the women's race.
Good technique. Let's see how this big man enters onto the sled. His load is knee first.
Yeah. Pretty much everybody's going to come down that way. There's a few that manage to swallow dive in chest first.
They lean to try and get on the exit or the entrance to the Kreisel curve, and here in the finish makes it look easy.
Korea's Han-Sin Lee next up, the 27-year-old, comfortably the older of the two, but he only started in 2010 as well. Already an Olympian, 24th in the games in Sochi 2 years ago. 2010, first day on ice, 2012 in the Olympic Games. Talk about fast progress.
62.5, kilometer down to Dukars. Music in the background. They do a nice job here promoting the athletes.
Other than Gangnam Style, what other Korean music, I wonder, does he have? There's not a lot, you know. When you go to USA, you've got a lot to choose from. Psy is still carrying the banner for the Koreans.
Heads up. It's a pretty good training times this week. Charles saying that he gives up so much at the start, but he's got decent lines down the track, and you know, he's probably going to be around 13th place. He might knock off Guggenberger.
I'm afraid this will be another tough weekend for Matthias Guggenberger.
He beats Guggenberger by 300s, and he's 400s behind Kulikov of Russia. Only 600s behind Shevin from Canada.
So Han-Sin Lee started 12th, finished 13th.
Watch the head here as he crosses over. Oh, the head comes way up there.
Yeah, it gets bumped by that bump in the...
well, when you're late, here too. Look at his head come up here too. So wasn't real comfortable on the sled here at the bottom part. What a way to go across the finish line with airborne.
Another grizzly bear.
And the ski jumper.
Yeah, Barrett Martineau. Well, he's called Bear because Barrett. And Dave Kracheshin is called Grizz because it's easier to say.
Good technique. Of course, coming from ski jumping, you do have to have a technique.
Young guy as well, only 24 years old. He got the little hip steer in first, didn't toe drag, didn't tap. So decent momentum.
Start speed about middle of the pack or worse. 4/10 down, that'll get out to probably near 5,500s at the next clock. And he hopes to stop the bleeding and hang in there.
The deal now
67. Worse.
Wants to have as many people behind him as he can, but he's dropped to 15th place on the splits.
Yeah, he had a big body shift to the angle going into the Kreisel. Wasn't comfortable. 92.5 is... It's not bad speed right there. No, that's off. A couple of kilometers off.
20th in the World Championships here in February.
It's going to be all in 15th place.
It is now Barrett Martineau in the drop zone in 15th place. 26 sliders, only 20 go through to Heat 2. And he's holding his hand up there. Is his visor fogging, or is he just...
He's not happy.
Really unhappy with himself.
If he could throw it like a baseball bat, he would. Look at, the knee comes down first. Chin down, look at him, really, head is really down there well. And now he peeks up with that dark visor on. He goes right to the weight room and
can't get away fast enough. And I think he doesn't think he's going to get a second heat. And I'm afraid he might be right. Martis Ducours, Axel Jung and Alexander Tretikov are leaders with 15 sleds gone out of our 26. Matti Gaspari from Italy, 22-year-old from Pieve de Cadore, which is close to Cortina, and a former Italian track in Cortina, of course. Semi-natural track, refrigerated floor, concrete sides.
We miss it.
We do. He told us in the World Championships he was going to try during the summer and join the Carabinieri. Armin Sergio, the multiple Olympic and world champion in luge, the Italian, is in charge of the Carabinieri's sporting program, and he figured that would be a good place to go. I need to catch up with him to see whether he's got uniform or not.
How many gold medals did Zilbe win? 3 in a row?
Yeah,
2006, 10, and maybe 2 in a row, and I think he got a bronze. Pretty successful luge athlete.
Yeah, and quite a totem to have in your lineup. Yeah, no question.
Second down, 15th. He's at least ahead of Martin. Remember, I almost started talking about the bubble.
Yep.
Top 20.
Now, can he put himself in front of Guggenberger? At the moment he has. He's got 2 guys behind him. And 11th at the line.
Whoa!
Good
Speed on the bottom part of the track. That caught us by surprise. So the Italians obviously have some good equipment. Because when you could take a deficiency from 15th place to 11 in the last 150, 200 meters, you've done well.
Didn't drive, had the line right, held the speed.
And he's going to make the second heat. Crossovers here now. This is downward. Look at that take on into the final finish curve and around the finish. G-force pretty flat.
Matti Gaspari, 22-year-old Italian, should be in the second heat, 11th with 10 to go. Next up, Ed Smith of Great Britain struggled 17th last weekend in Altenburg. He had 2 hip operations over the summer to try and cure a long-standing problem. He was saying afterwards he thinks he's doing okay just to be here, never mind to be able to sprint at his normal pace.
Quiet on the sled.
He hasn't got the power that he would like.
He used to be a better starter than this, but very experienced.
As you know, John, when you've had those major surgeries over the summer, recovery takes a little longer.
Yeah. Especially in a sport like this. I mean, that sprint at the top of the track and then the drive down. You know, you're still very easy to injure yourself coming down the track just with body leans and the way you get thrown on and off the curves. G-forces, neck, rib injuries, cartilage in your ribs.
Again, if he can make the field here, that's pretty much what he needs to do. 93.2, not great speed.
17th at the position so far. Speed 123 and change will give him a good chance to 24. Pretty good.
Needs a good bottom corner to hold on to that speed. 17.
800's behind Martineau and Guggenberger. He's so he's going to be on the bubble.
Ed Smith in danger of not making the second heat. Of course, everybody is ranked below the top 10 in their World Cup order. So the guys behind were not as good last week. However,
lines through 9 and 10. Head up. Speed down here. This is the fastest part of the track right down here.
So the electrician from Bristol, another man with a dark visor to cut down the glare. Touch and go is going to be a difficult 15 minutes for him, waiting to see if he makes the second heat. First of our Swiss athletes in the men's field, originally from Sachsen, now lives and studies in Bern. 20-year-old climate science student Marco the Calves Ruhrer. Look at those calves. There's some definition in those. His full World Cup debut was last week in Altenburg. Made his first senior start in the World Championships here in February.
Well, start speed, as you'd expect from this number in the field. Late there in the exit Omega. That is not what you want. You want to be smooth and quiet up here. Toe tap there, 4 to 5. Kreisel. 90 kilometers, 55 miles an hour. Not there at that point. In fact, he did a lot of steering to exit there cleanly, though.
Well, the other thing is, with a long heat with 26 sleds at 2-minute odd intervals, you wonder how hard the refrigeration can be on all the way through.
Right there. See what he does here in the finish.
It's a fine art, keeping the track surface exactly the same. 122.7, he's bumped away a lot of the speed. He is in 18th place, but he is just behind, 2/10 behind Ed Smith.
Well, that locks in at least Gaspari.
Yep.
Colin, who's on the bubble? Like Lee Hansen, I think. Now.
Dave Krecheshin and Matej Gaspari are tied for 11th. Marco Rohrer, 5:09, not a bad start. Top 15.
Entry, quiet, comfortable. Head could way up there. You know, some people leave their head down immediately.
Yeah. So there's Marco. Usually slides in spectacles. Maybe he's gone for the contact lenses today. From Barcelona in Spain, 32-year-old Ander Mirambel. Another man with a Bromley sled. 30th in the Worlds here in February. Started the season with 2 wins in North America. North America's Cup, which is the junior level of sliding. He had 2 wins in November at Lake Placid. Back-to-back gold medals has got to be a great way to start your season.
Das ist zu wenig Zeit.
18th best start, 27, quiet, 62 flat,
5:19. Same start of Matt Antoine, who lies in 7th place.
That Antoine, though, had much better speed.
Yeah.
60 in a kilometer and a half better speed than our good friend from Spain here. That's all the way into the sled around the first curve. Remember, Matt Antoine only had the second best speed in Kreisel.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the toe tap there behind us. 19th position at the moment.
92.7. Again, it's the perennial battle from 15th on down in any start draw to guarantee you make the field.
This is not going to improve his chances. 124 is not bad.
That's decent speed at the bottom on the Bromley sled. 19th. 59.03, 100th behind Marco Rohrer.
100th. They almost got him on the bottom.
And you know what? And that's what it comes down to. It's dog eat dog.
Right now. I mean, it's in the Kreisel, he made some mistakes. He'll be the first one to tell you.
Say hi to Maria Montiano, who's watching wherever she is. And there's Sara Levencic from Slovenia.
Here's the Kreisel. Watch the feet separate. Start to struggle here to get off the curve. When you start doing that toe tapping, and a place you want to, look at him, he's a little late. You want a slingshot down there. Boom, launch yourself out of there in the bottom part of the track where it's quick. Take advantage of it.
Ander Mirambel, 19th at the moment with 7 to go and only 1 spot left in the race. Now it is real pressure time. Hiro Takahashi, the first of our Japanese sliders.
Pretty fast in training, this guy.
Yeah. Well, looked in training as though he was starting to find that top 10 form that he had a couple of seasons back.
Very, very technically proficient here at the start. Quiet load. He's been around 5-6 years on the tour. Had a 7th place finish here. Right, was it here? Last year?
Last year, a couple of years ago, he had 2 or 3 top 10 finishes, and it seemed to be all coming together really nicely.
He did so well in Altenburg last week. When I asked his coach about it, Kazimir Koshi, he just shook his head. He said, not a good performance. Full Japanese accent.
14th in the Worlds here. He was 19th last weekend in Augsburg. 90 kilometers an hour on the nose. 55.9 miles an hour.
4 kilometers isn't great.
Around the last half dozen, it's not so bad though. He is in 16th. He is the 20th starter. So at the moment, he's in the race. 125.
That's good speed. That's the best speed we've seen there in the finish.
16th.
6-8 sleds.
Okay, 16th with 6 to go. Odds are that
He's in the
Hero
race.
will make the race.
He could, yeah, he'll drop 1 or 2 more places, but
Not guaranteed, but the odds are good.
good speed in the bottom. One of the first times we've seen somebody with 125 click speed in the finish, 77.9 miles an hour. Okay, now watch him come up here and bang, and
Bump
across
on
the
the
finish
wall,
line. Yeah,
throws you
right there at
clear
the
off the
finish line,
ground.
electric eye.
Yeah. He
Finish
almost
coming
jumped,
in uphill. That's really,
Yeah.
you can lose a little time there in that last 50 meters.
almost jumped the eye. 20 sleds down, 6 to go. Martins Dukors leads from Axel Jung and Alexander Tretiakov. But it's the danger men at the bottom of the bubble from Hiro Takahashi on down, who will now have a restless 10 minutes. Outside the 20 is a tough place to start for Roland Ardesets, the 26-year-old mechanical engineering student. 20th last week in Altenburg, made the cut, stayed in the heat. Can he do it again?
Well, 5:07, it's not bad. 11th best start. Speed, not in that 62.5 kilometers we'd like to see.
Funny, isn't it? 5:07 is the 11th best start. 5:09 is the 17th best start.
So that's
So
the field.
many
the
of them
field.
close together, yeah.
That's the field. But there's a big variance in the speed. You know, the speeds after that curve 0. Not everybody gets on the sled. Oh, that's up and down there. He got on that.
skid.
Yeah, the take on the Kreisel. He launched up too high.
And he knows it. And that will have taken away so much speed. He'd have been fighting it all the way through the Kreisel.
Not very good on the entrance to 9. 20 laps, he's late on the first one. Second one is corrected.
Still in the race. Needs 124s. Doesn't have it. Is that enough to beat Ander Marambal? Yes. No, ties. 59.03. They tie for 20th place.
And they're only 100th out of 19th off the other Swiss sled. So they're the 100th of a second. Marambal had much better speed.
So we could have 21 in our top 20. Because if they tie for 20th at the end of this run, if nobody improves, they'll both go in.
I think there's a couple athletes here. At least one athlete's going to bump.
Well, the Kreisel almost undid him. If he'd not had that skid onto the Kreisel, he should have been 2 or 3 places higher up minimum.
High on the entrance and then late on the exit.
Get in late, get out late. There's no other way of doing it. It's always going to happen. So what about Dave Swift then, the snow gnome, personal trainer whose father trains the Great Britain sprint team. He was a sprinter as well. And yeah, 31-year-old has a good start speed.
He's a little shorter and stockier than most of the other athletes, but he's a powerful start athlete, that's for sure. 494, should be 62 and change high, 62.4. He should have had better start speed than that, so he didn't get around curve 0 with the best velocity angle.
21st in the field last week, didn't make the cut in Altenburg. Doesn't want to go 0 for 2, does he?
Well, what'd you say last week in Altenburg? He had more hits than...
Yeah, more hits than Elvis, but hopefully this is a clearer run. 11th, 16th, the speed is not in the sled.
No, they're way off. That doesn't have the 90 kilometers. Oh, he's scratching. You hear that scratching right there? That's friction.
And of course, when you need to perform, the danger of tightening up is always there as well. Down to 18th from the 5th best start. Will he make the race?
That's going to be enough.
He needs a 59.02 to be in. 122.5 is slower than the last half dozen athletes. He's here.
Oh, it's three-way tie.
Three-way tie. Oh, you are kidding me. We could have 22 in our top 20.
Let's go and make a bet at some numbers. 206.
Too late to get money on that happening.
206, 3 sleds. Never, ever have I seen a 3-way tie. And if there has been one, it hasn't been for 20th place.
Not for 20th.
That means there'll be 22 people in the field. That'll be a first in the history of the IBSF.
Yeah. Well, look at the head steering him up the line, takes him too high, then he comes down too low, and again the second wave is too late.
Nothing against the other guys coming down, but I'd love to see 22 sleds in the field.
Well, who knows? We might get another 59.03 run. We could have a four-way tie. But at the moment, Swifty is in. 4 to come. Oh, ramping up the pressure now on young Florian Auer. Second ever World Cup race. He's now done twice as many races as his brother Alexander. Or he will have done by the time he lies down on his tree tray. 5:15 getaway. Oh dear, second slowest of the entire competition. Father Christian Auer was a legend in Austrian sliding.
Sliding then wasn't about start times. It was on treacherous tracks. The equipment was nothing like it was. And the athletes had a different focus. It was truly an extreme sport then. Now it's an extreme sport with an Olympic theme, so it's got a little bit different techniques to it. The athletes approach it totally different, but his father was some skeleton run. I think 1993 or 94 was the world champion.
Shy on speed. He's 23rd. That's where he started. I'm afraid Florian Auer for the second week in a row is not going to make the race. 1:23.8's not enough.
But didn't his brother compete last year here?
Yeah.
In the World Cup?
Alexander did the race in Sochi, didn't he? And I saw his name on the sheet. I had to go and find him myself. Is your dad? Yeah. Okay, so he didn't, it's sneaky little so-and-so, didn't tell me there was another one right behind him. He didn't say, oh yeah, my brother Florian, you might see him next year. Disappointment for Florian Auer. Doesn't make the cut. So first year in the World Cup.
1,300 here. This is it. Look at the start.
Yeah.
He hits before that curve zero. He's got to go to the middle of the curve, steer. Now he's up on the last part of the exit. Now he comes over, taps this little wall. And that's not how to do it.
And Florian has raced here enough to know when he hit the dink in corner zero that he was in deep trouble. Another World Cup rookie here this season from Colorado Springs. What is it? Does nobody come from cold weather parts of the US anymore? Nathan Crumpton, photographer, student, model, and athlete.
Start, 12th best start. Speed, 62 flat. It'd be 62.2, it's decent. Now he could get into this field with any kind of speeds on the exit of Kreisel.
Well, if he's in, 3 guys are going to be trying to hunt him down and kick him. Andy Marambell, Dave Swift, and Ronald Alderset ties. He's down to 17th.
12 to 17. He's at 19 now.
89.1.
Not the same speed those other 3 guys had.
What's he got on the exit? 92.7, 93. Not sitting 92.9. This is going to be so tight.
He's right on the number, right on the 20th
place
spot.
at the moment, ahead of our trio that are tied. Still in 20th place.
Looks like he's going to do a decent speed. He should do it.
In the race, is it a 59.03 at the line? No!
97.
So 3 are out, and he is in, and Marco Rohrer is now on the bubble, but Nathan Crumpton makes the field for the first time in his World Cup career. Well done, that's a big step up for Nathan Crumpton.
Yeah, it was a little soft with his time around the Omega curve, but once he got up to speed down the exit of Kreisel into curve 9 right here, it's pretty good lines. A little high there, but he held good speed, 123. It changed down there in the finish curve, 79 miles an hour. And he walks into a second slide down the track in this final heat.
For the first time in his World Cup career. Now, Dorin Velicu from Romania. He was helping out Maria Mazalou earlier, and she'll be helping him down at the bottom of the track. The Romanians also sliding in the bobsleigh. They've got 2 women's sleds. One racing and the other one running, so they've split up their women's team into 2 teams now. The Romanians are really pushing along here. So what about Dorin? 29-year-old, had his birthday in Altenburg. 5:19, same start time again as Matt Antoine. Matt drove himself from that start into 7th place. And if Dorin can drive himself into the race, he'll consider that to be a big step up. 25th position at the moment.
Heads way up. So just continue to watch the second run with us. Just watch the heads. These people come in and out of these curves. The good people find a way to get their head right down near the ice, and that's late. Dorian is, you know, he's way off the pace. You hear that scratching? That's the toe tap or the chin on the ice.
Maria Maslow just missed the cut this morning. Looks like Dorian Velliku is going to miss the cut this afternoon as well. 1:21.9 is not the speed he needs. And he comes across the line in 25th place, 59.92. So it's a second slower than Nathan Crumpton just went, 58.94. Crumpton made the heat. So the track has got potential still for finding the pace. But Dorian, as Maria hopes this led something in the setup, and the drive was not what he needed. High coming onto the Kreisel, can't hold the sled all the way up, and it then
goes
starts
down
to drop.
Then this is the wrong place for it to come up.
Yeah.
Watch it here on the exit. The wrong place you want to go on the exit of the curve is up there.
Timing is everything, and it was just a heartbeat out. Final slider for Italy is Calgary cop Joe Cecchini.
He's a little wounded, so
yeah,
interesting to see. He says he's 80%.
Well, he had to pull out of last week's race in Altenburg at the last minute. He's got a hamstring injury, and the worst thing you can do is aggravate it.
You can see him limping here.
Yeah.
I told him he should take another week off, because those hamstrings, they linger. And Joe's not a youngster.
Loving the new helmet artwork. That is a beautiful looking helmet. We haven't seen it this year. 5:17, not a bad start considering he's got a troubling hammy. 61.4 in the first turn.
He's going to need to have a perfect line. He's got the perfect helmet, I can tell you that.
Yeah. And if you see, who's the Death Rider? One of those DC comics. Answers on a postcard, please.
Up and down the prize. Not good. He's going to come up in the end, yeah.
I just hope that he has not injured himself any further at the start. 91.6, a little better than Dorian Velliku. 25th position, 23rd start. Yeah, 5:17, couple of hundreds quicker than Matt Antoine. 1:22.5, not bad at the bottom for Joe.
Oh! Joe, he's going to be hurt on his right shoulder now, too. Maybe his left, too.
Yeah. He's got a new Bromley sled for this winter as well that he's not used before, not raced before, so he's dialing himself into that. Having been
let's see him limp. Let's see how badly he's starting to limp. He's not very happy.
He's a cop. He's made of tough stuff. He ain't going to limp until you saw one of his legs off.
Now, the line isn't consistent. It's up. There he goes up, down. Now he goes back up, comes back down, and watch the flop off the outlet here. This is the finish. This is where it gets exciting.
Yep.
Straight wall.
Off too early and on the shoulder across the line.
Took a little ice burn there.
His brother's here who studies in the Netherlands with some friends. So he's got family and friends. Martin Struikors, always with the support. Lauda Pregilena cheering him on at the top as if he needed it. He leads after our first heat. Will he hold off his rivals? Can the Germans get to him? Axel Jung is second. Can the Russians get to him? Alexander Tretyakov is third. Can the Koreans get to him? Sung Bin Yun is in fourth place. But Martin Struikors won his last race on this track, the World Championships in February. And he leads going into our deciding round. There's the margin, 1800ths from second, 4400ths from third, a half second from the battle for fourth position. But from Tretyakov down to Grother in sixth, there is a podium spot up for grabs. Join John Morgan and me, Martin Haven, with the rest of the IBSF TV crew here for our second and deciding heat from Winterberg. And that comes up in 30 minutes from now at 15:30 GMT. 4:30 here Central European time. Till then, from Winterberg in Germany, auf Wiedersehen, Pet.